And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world. Really appreciate every single one of you. Coming to you from the Spaceship Studios from a galaxy far, far away. Alright, and well, now I am on. Thank you, chat, for the heads up information. And hello, Richard, Mary. Welcome to the stream. Alright, so yeah, the Alright, so we have a different setup at the moment, and we'll see how everything goes for tonight. And although I've been a little bit distant with some of the trials, I will be doing recaps about them at the same time. So that is pretty cool to that we will do. All right. So there's two different trials going on about the girl that was kidnapped, and that trial is in the DP or the death penalty phase. Oh, okay. Well, nice to see you too. We have that, going to be going on. The other part of it is that there's another trial called the murder plot, the mother-in-law murder plot. So it was a family conspiracy that happened, and it's another murder trial that's going on, and we'll be going and talking about that. And let's see. So the mother-in-law of murder plot trial, Utah versus Gracie Grist, centers on the January 24. Oh yeah, it's I understand, Mary. Yeah, definitely. It's a dark case. Centers on the January 24, 2024. This one is not the little girl case, by the way. Conspiracy with her children, Kevin Ellis and Catherine Rastilli, to lure Matthew to her Utah home and delete him following the contentious material breakdown. The Marshall breakdown, rather. Right. The state's case highlights a week-long surveillance efforts, which include placing air tags on the victim's truck to track his movements. Prosecutors presented evidence a calculated setup alleging that Grist showed her daughter the knife and wrapped it in a rubber glove, searching for an "it's happening" meme just hours before the murder to signal the start of the ambush. During the trial, testimony revealed that a cold precision of the attack on the day of the deletion killing, the house was cleared of other occupants to leave Matthew isolated in the dark. He was shot 7 times, and knife was subsequently planted in his non-dominant hand to stage a self-defense scenario. A lot of times there'll be these inconsistencies in these cases when they're trying to stage a scene that didn't really happen, and that would cause lots of issues, to the persons as well. Now, significant portion of the trial focused on the subsequent cover-up and shifting loyalties within the family. Evidence showed an 8-minute delay in calling 911, instructions from Grist to her children to keep quiet the morning after. Explosively, the state revealed that both children had eventually tried to talk to their mother out of the plot, but she refused to stop. And again, this is when there's a lot of emotion, that's emotionally charged situation, and you'll see holes in narrative about what these defendants are saying, and they're not really actually trying to defend their innocence, but they're just trying to get out of a situation that they caused. The sign that the kids also wanted to stop is another sign, that obviously is confession of the action. Grist faces charges including murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and obstruction of justice, while her co-defendants have already been convicted or entered guilty pleas. This trial aims to determine her role as the alleged mastermind who orchestrated the family's violent resolution to a bitter divorce. Okay. So, oh, thank you, Mary, for the super chat. Shout out to you. I appreciate it. Mary says, "Welcome back, alien spaceship." Well, thank you. The third day of the Tracy Grist murder, April 16, 2026, focus on shifted toward the immediate aftermath of the shooting and physical evidence gathered at the scene. All right, police cam footage. Jurors viewed the footage of Officer David G. of the American Fork Police Department, who was among the first to respond to Grist's home on the night of the murder. The defense highlighted. Yeah, hello, boss. Hello, boss. Among the first to respond with Grist's home on the night of the murder, the defenses highlighted a police interview with Grist's son, Kevin Ellis, in which his. Yeah, hello, underboss. Good to see you. In which his attorney claimed that the victim was an armed intruder wielding a knife who enters without permission. Autopsy and DNA testimony. Dr. Amanda H., the medical examiner, detailed the 7 gunshot wounds that deleted Matthew R. Forensic scientist Rachel Williams also testified regarding the DNA testing concluded that the victim, Grist, and her children. Victim's mother testified that Matthew's mother took the stand, provided emotional testimony. Hello, Anna. Welcome to the stream. I hope you have been doing well, and nice having you here too. And yeah, this trial. I've been keeping up with it, but I've not been in chat as much this week. So, victim's mother testified about Diana Restelli, Matthew's mother, took the stand to provide emotional testimony about her son, who was 42 at the time of the death. All right. Continue witness cross-examination. Grist's daughter, Catherine, returned to the stand, and she was questioned about the inconsistencies between her current testimony and the previous statements during her brother's trial, admitting, "Yes, I'm doing okay. This week there was a internet outage, and I was, so I didn't do the regular live streams, and I got a different internet system. So we're testing out to see how it goes." Right. So yeah, I'm doing okay. I've been doing the phone lives of recently, more towards the morning. So it's nice to be back on. Okay, and let's go into this part right here. Now, the text messages in the Grist murder trial reveal a calculated plot featuring threats to a single victim, the use of a poop emoji to label the AirTag trafficking device and plans to fake sprained ankle to lure him to the scene. Additional evidence includes a "It's Happening" meme identified as a single for the ambush. Now, surveillance and planning leading to the July 12. Hello, Falcon. Welcome to the stream. The surveillance and planning leading to the July 12, 2024 shooting were extensive, involving digital tracking and accidents. Oh, that is excellent, Anna. I'm glad that you were able to see it today. I saw parts of it today myself. It was now some parts are. Some people think parts are slow, but I thought the testimonies were interesting today. Oh, thank you, Falcon. That is awesome. So, shout out to Falcon for gifting 10 memberships. Thank you. Shout out to those that were gifted the memberships. Yeah, Falcon is indeed. Yes, indeed. Hello, comedy. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, salute to Falcon. Thanks. All right. June 16, 2024. This is the timeline. So, weeks before the deletion killings, Tracy Grist, Google search. Yes, and Jenny is right there, thankful for the membership. Awesome. Yes, and hello, comedy. I'm going over a trial that was on today because I do during my trial coverage of the Grist trial. She murdered the son-in-law. That's what's going on. So Anna said, "What a dumb plan on Tracy Grist trial." Yes, yes, I think it's an incredibly dumb trial. Yes, now you get all the cool emojis. Yes, and the emojis that are just hypnotic. Yeah, nice. Yeah, because Anna, it's so like the kids are trying to stop her. It was very clear that she was trying to hide what she was doing, but it was very obvious that it was true. Yeah, good to see you too, Jenny. Always nice to have you with us. So the timeline of we have here is weeks before the deletion killing, Tracy Grist's Google search history showed that she was already researching Utah gun laws, divorce procedures, and local cemeteries. Yeah, and a lot of times with these people, their search history will be completely incriminating. I will say that there are people that will have search history that can be perfectly fine and clean, or they could have search history that could be questionable and not even doing anything wrong. You know, people can look up all kinds of things; they're not actually doing it. Falcon said how to put our cat 17 down to. Oh, Falcon, condolences for your loss, Falcon. It is extremely hard to go through, and prayers and positive vibes sending them your way. Definitely a very uh, harsh. I definitely feel you. It can be very messed up to go through. And on phone telling him to walk in and put the cardboard on the street and say he's intruder. Yeah, it's the stupidest thing ever. It's that is completely holes in the narrative right there because you know that would be obviously not a reason to go and do that. Yeah, the most manipulative thing ever, and she was just so desperate to try to figure out a way to take him out And when people are looking up gun laws, divorce procedures, and cemeteries, you know that it correlates their. Okay, okay, Anna. Okay, and looks like I've returned for a second. All right, let's see how this goes. So, anyway, the June 2024. Rastili left California's Utah with her children on this day, and the family created a Facebook chat specifically to monitor an AirTag hidden in Matthew's truck. The tracking device was labeled in the app as a truck with a poop emoji. All four family members' Apple IDs were attached to the AirTag, which prosecutors say was a tactic to prevent unrecognized trackers to alert from the appearing of Matthew's phone. Early July 2024, Grist conducted a bizarre searches including what scents attract the mountain lions to humans, as victims frequently visit the remote property. July 2024. The day before Matthew offered to pay for the rental car so Catherine could return to California, Grist and Catherine texted about faking a sprained ankle to keep putting him off and force him to drive to Utah instead. All right, July 12, 2024. After Grist's search for an It's Happening meme just as Matthew was expected to arrive in Utah. Evening, the family made final preparations at Grist's home, including sending Grist's younger children away for the night, removing a mesh screen door and covering couches with blankets, preventing blood stains. The lure, Catherine stayed on a recorded phone call with Matthew as he drove, discussing food stops and telling him she was excited to return to California with him despite not having packed any bags. Okay, evidence presented by ABC4 and Court TV highlighted that the intent behind these actions, the joke. Catherine testified that the plan started as a joke, but escalated until Grist instead. I don't care, I'm doing it anyway, with Catherine tried to back out. Prior threats. In a January 2024 text, Grist and Catherine just drove 9 hours and strangled him after Matthew allegedly messed with her daughter. Post shooting admission. Immediately following the gunfire, a neighbor texted Grist to ask what happened. Grist replied, "Yes, he had a knife, and my son Kevin shot him." All right, let's go here. During the trial, prosecutors presented the forensic evidence to support the claim that the knife found at the crime scene was planted to stage a self defense scenario. Handiness, discrepancy. Investigators noted that the pocket knife was found in Matthew Costelli's right hand. However, this mother and other witnesses confirmed that Matthew was left handed. Physical impossibility. An autopsy revealed that the gunshot wound Matthew's right wrist. Detectives testified that this injury would have made it nearly impossible for him to grip the knife tightly, yet he was found holding it in that hand. Unnatural grip. Responding to officers, Joseph Norden testified that the grip appeared odd and suspicious, as blade as pointed inward. Let's see, made nearly impossible for him to grip a knife, and found holding it the hand inward. Unnatural grip. Responding to Officer Joseph Norden that the grip appeared odd and suspicious, as the blade was pointed inward toward Matthew himself rather than outward in a defense position. Yeah, just the way that the knife was staged in this plot is completely inaccurate to how it really would be in a real situation. And it said, don't they know that phone deletes can be retrieved? Yeah, no. Anything digital can be retrieved. Yeah, definitely. Falcon. And yeah, in this situation, we have lots of these people completely mentally collapsing and doing these messed up things. The None of this adds up about somebody's actually trying to defend themselves. Yeah. Trace will purchase a knife, EVATAC brand folding knife featuring a window breaker and setback cutter could not be found in local stores. Investigators linked to Tracy Grist through digital evidence, including an email she sent to the company that she sells tactical equipment subscription boxes. Markings responding, officers discovered that pink handwriting on the blade and the knife after removing it from the victim's hand. Right. DNA and forensic reports. Recent testimony on April 15, 2026. Forensic scientist Rachel Williams, ABC4, testified about DNA profiling on the weapon. She stated there was a strong support that Matthew, at least one family member, had both handled the knife, admitting planting the knife while her husband lay dying on the floor. Beyond the knife, prosecutors presented several other key details to argue Tracy Grist and her family methodologically prepared the home for ambush and attempted to manipulate the scene afterward. Blood spatter prevention. Catherine Rastelli testified that before Matthew arrived, the family placed inexpensive blankets over the couches to catch blood spatter and avoid staining the furniture. Remove of obstacles. To ensure a clear path for shooting, the family reportedly removed children's toys from the area and took down the magnetic mesh screen door to make the Matthews entry easier. A dark ambush. Responding to officers noted that the interior lights in the house were turned off. Yes, it was premeditated. Yes. She's on trial about premeditation, but yeah, basically it's still premeditated. Right. A dark ambush. Responding to officers noted that all the interior lights in the house were turned off while Matthew arrived, which investigators found the highly unusual for a family expecting a guest. Yeah, scared. The late emergency call. There was an 8-minute delay between the time neighbors heard gunshots and when Grist finally called 911. Neighbors heard texted Grist to ask if she was okay a fully 7 minutes before she contacted authorities, absence of first aid. Testified that when he arrived, it did not appear that anyone in the house had attempted CPR or any form of life saving aid on Matthew despite their claims of a sudden altercation. Deleting digital evidence. Prosecutors revealed that all text and Snapchat history between Grist and her son, Kevin, had been deleted from their devices following the shooting. All right, victims' mannerisms. Evidence showed that Matthew was an unarmed, unexpected guest who demonstrated no signs of aggression upon arrival, even placed cardboard under his truck to ensure he didn't drip in oil in a driveway. Acting prosecutors argued this was inconsistent with agitated intruder. Yeah. And especially since it's family, I think it's not really a good idea for her to want to try to frame him like this because it certainly is nonsense what they're doing here. Yeah. Entry points. While family claimed that Matthew was intruder, he had removed his sandals and left them neatly in the door before shot 7 times, 3 of which were in his back. Prosecutors presented forensic digital evidence showing that Tracy Grist was deeply fixated on the Donna Adelson case, high profile Florida murder, higher plot, and FUSU professional Dan Markle. Yeah, so Donna Adelson had her son in law deleted because she couldn't see the kids. Fixation on Adelson case. A detective testified that out of 1,000 of entire entries, the Grist device, a significant number focused on Adelson and her searches include case planners. She researched Catherine Mag Banyua, a central figure in Florida plot, and specifically searched up Mag Banyua's defense charts. Donna Allison. Grist performed multiple searches for Donna Adelson, including where was Donna Adelson arrested, queries about her upcoming hearings. Interesting. All right, media coverage. She searched for the Dateline episode, specifically focusing on Allison's family. With the victim's children in June 2024, she searched how old were Dan Markle's kids when Dan was deleted. Other incriminating searches. Beyond her interests in Florida case, Grist's history suggested that she was actively researching the mechanics of her own alleged plot. Falcon said, I had to put my pup down last year too. I think I'm going to get a Galapagos tortoise next time. They live for ages, though walking them to the beach and back may take a while. Yes. Scared? Yeah, it would. Beyond her interest in Florida case, Grist's history suggested she was actively researching the mechanics of her own alleged plot, evasion of travel. She repeatedly searched for how to get my U.S. passport fast, applying for children's U.S. passport. Legal self defense. Loophole on June 16, she searched for the Utah gun law registration. Utah shot break, in which prosecutors argued shows her intent to stage a justifiable shooting. Oh, that would be nice too, Falcon. Yeah. Scared. Disposal of the concerns, she looked up the local cemeteries, including Cemetery American Fork, Cemetery, and near Appland. This happened. This happening meme just as Matthew Rastelli began his trip to Utah from California. Grist searched for its happening meme, which the state claims was a coded signal to her children being in the ambush. One of our most bizarre searches conducted in May 23, 2024 asked what scents attracted mountain lions and humans. Testimony from the victim's mother revealed that family frequently visited remote property where she where such knowledge might have been used. We like to uh, let's see. Yeah, I certainly think that I was just reading chat for a second, but I certainly would think that this was absolutely premeditated. Completely, in my opinion. During a testimony on April 15, 2026, Grist's daughter and the victim's wife provided chilling account of her mother's alleged refusal to stop the deletion. Catherine testified that its reality of the plan set on the day of the shooting, she experienced moments of intense conflict. Confrontation after Grist and her son Kevin Ellis returned to they're immortal? Scared. Return where they allegedly finalized the plan. Catherine said she met her mother at the top of the stairs in KSL. Lee. Catherine looked at her mother in the eyes and said, Mom, I don't want to do this anymore. KSL. Grist responded, according to Catherine, Grist coldly replied, I don't care, I'm doing it anyway. KSL. Emissions of setup. So Catherine admitted that she played her part in luring Matthew to the home despite her hesitation. Luring the victim. She testified that she told Matthew for the front door would be unlocked specifically so he would walk and be easily bothered. Yeah. Okay. Now this is a scene from the trial from earlier. This. All right, this is a scene from the trial from earlier. For those curious to know about, this is a scene from the trial from earlier.
If you raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm under the laws of the state of Utah, penalty of perjury, that the testimony given in this matter today will be true and correct, so help you God? I do. Thank you. Please have a seat.
Good morning, Officer Neal. Or afternoon, apologize.
Good afternoon.
Can we state your name and spell your last name for the record?
It's going to be Anthony Neal. Last name is going to be Neil.
And what's your occupation?
I'm a police officer for the American Fork Police Department.
And how long have you been a police officer?
3.5 years.
And what's your title at the American Fork Police Department?
I'm a patrol officer.
And what kind of duties do you have as a patrol officer?
I'm responding to calls, calls for service. When people are needing assistance with something, they call into 911. That gets dispatched out to us, and we respond.
And when you respond on cases, do you have a body cam?
I do, yes.
Did you get a call on the night of July 12, 2024?
I did, yes.
And where were you dispatched to?
To a residence in American Fork. It was an apartment complex on the east end of town.
And who did you respond with?
Officer Guerra and Officer Laycock.
Were you the first people to arrive on scene?
We were, yes. All three of us arrived at approximately the same time.
And what did you see when you arrived?
There's a truck parked outside of the reported residence with hazards on. There's a cardboard underneath it. We arrived towards the front of the house. Officer Guerra went to the front door, and then I positioned myself out of the front window of the house to where I could see inside of the house.
At some point did you go in the residence?
I did, yes.
And how many people had gone into the residence before you?
Only Officer Guerra had gone in before I entered.
How soon before you did he go in?
Seconds.
And then what happened after you went in the house?
I observed a male that was face down in the hallway of right as the entryway of the house.
Did you identify him at some point?
The male face down, I did
Yes.
not.
Did you find out later who he was?
I did.
Who was it?
I don't recall the name.
Okay. Okay, then what
I know his
happened?
relationship with the family members.
Okay. And what happened next?
I pulled out. There's a male that was kind of standing over the body a little bit with his arms folded. Later, I identified him as Kevin Ellis. I directed him out of the residence just to start securing the scene. So I pulled him out of the house, and I exited with him.
And what happened after that?
We exited the house. We went into the front yard of the residence, and as I was talking with Kevin, I observed that a female was outside of the front door of the residence. I had called her over towards me. Later identified her as Tracy Griss.
And then, so at that point, who else was outside?
At that time, it was me, Kevin, and Tracy.
Okay, and what happened after that?
I asked if who the person was that was face down in the entryway. She said that it was her. Tracy stated that it was her daughter's husband. I asked where her daughter was located. She said that she was upstairs. I asked if she had the firearm because we had reported of shots fired. She said that she didn't have the firearm, and so I asked who had the firearm, where Kevin said that he had it.
Okay. And what did you do after that?
At that point, I separated Tracy from Kevin. I directed Kevin towards the front of the truck to sit down, and then Tracy towards the back of the truck also to sit down.
Did you search Kevin at that point?
Shortly after, I did search Kevin's person. In his right pocket, he stated that he had his holster, and I identified that it was there. It was an empty holster. Left it on his person. and then continued searching him. Nothing else of note was found.
And then what happened?
After searching Kevin, went over to Tracy, performed a search on her to see if there was any weapons. No weapons were found on Tracy's person.
And at some point, did anybody else come out of the house?
After that, another female was at the front door, escorted by Officer Laycock. I directed her, because she initially started walking towards Tracy, and my goal was to keep everybody separated. So I directed Catherine to a position in the yard, away from Tracy and away from Kevin.
So the third person was Catherine.
Correct.
Do you know her last name?
I don't recall the last name.
Okay. And at some point, did they stay separated? The defendant and Catherine?
After I had identified Catherine and Tracy, I went over to identify Kevin, and so I directed Officer Stimson over towards Catherine and Tracy while I identified Kevin. And at that time, I observed Tracy moving towards Catherine, so I directed them to stay apart from each other again.
And who's Officer Stimson?
Officer Simpson, he used to work for a police department. He was one of our patrol officers. At the time, he was on what's called a ghost week, where he's being evaluated to be able to see if he's ready to go by himself as a police officer instead of being in that evaluation process.
So how long, was he even a full-time police officer at that point?
He was full-time, just not by himself yet. He was still being evaluated.
But how long had he been with the office?
Approximately, I want to say 2 months.
Okay. I'd like to show you what's marked. And do you know if Officer Laycock had a body cam?
He did, yes.
And did Officer Stimson have a body cam?
He did, yes.
I'd like to show you what's marked and just a witness at this point is State's Exhibit 133. Year issued. They would move to admit and publish State's Exhibit 133.
Yeah, so this was a part of the trial when they were interviewing the police. So that was, the first responders definitely having to deal with these cases. It definitely takes probably a strong mental toll, but they're resilient and able to handle these things usually because, they'll face a lot of traumatic things as officers. So yeah, it definitely shows that she completely premeditated it, and these people are just so stupid that do these things. All right. So realization while listening to a recording of her final phone call with Matthew in court, Catherine broke down, stating she realized she was setting him up for failure. Catherine also provided key testimony regarding the staging of the scenes. She claimed that while she was upstairs, she heard her mother and brother discussing placing a knife in Matthew's hand while he still was potentially alive. My opinion, this shows complete intent. Hello, Noah. Welcome to the stream. We are talking about some court cases right now. We'll be doing the garden part later tonight. Witnessing the planting of evidence. Hello, Moki. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you. Witnessing the planting of evidence, Catherine also provided the key testimony regarding the staging of the scene. She claimed that while she was upstairs, she heard her mother and brother discussing placing the knife in Matthew's hand while he was still potentially alive. Yes, yeah, the Tanner case was very rough today. Those testimonies that have been coming out of that one has been uh, very dramatic, and certainly we'll be touching up on that one too. People to do such horrid things without any kind of remorse or empathy is really hard for us normal people to understand. Now, charges in Grist, her alleged role as the mastermind in orchestrating the shooting of her son-in-law, murder, first degree, criminal conspiracy, second degree felony, for allegedly coordinating the plan with her children to lure the victim to her home, obstruction of justice for. All right, Channel 8 had two people in the courtroom who described the video they didn't stream. Oh, okay. Yeah, I certainly would be curious to know what they said about it. That is, I'm sure it was horrific. So Grist had criminal conspiracy, second degree felony, obstruction of justice, second degree felony, as well. Hey Moki, thank you, thank you. Okay, understood. Oh, okay. I got you. It's pretty gruesome. Okay. Okay, two women in the courtroom. Okay. Thanks. All right. We'll switch over this way. All right. All right. Here we go.
And the jury, they're not only crying, they are sobbing. Some of them are sobbing.
And they're glaring at him, and he's sitting there. At one point, he's just like this, holding his hands to his face, and he's just looking down. I mean, I don't know, Terry. I don't know how the defense gets past this. I mean, those jurors were very emotional.
Well, I think the part of the mitigating evidence that the defense is going to try to bring in, I don't know how it can negate the decisions that this man clearly made, because at first, it was questionable whether or not he had hurt her, so he put her in the van and, didn't know what to do, and he was confused and he made bad decisions. No, it's very calculated. And he definitely used this child for some kind of sexual gratification.
Yes, he did.
And
you can hear that. You can hear it. You can hear it on the audio.
Yes, even though there wasn't an accusation in the indictment, it is clear that there was something sexual going on. Plus, we also know that there was DNA.
Yeah, this is the part. This is the beginning of the two women talking about the case. So I started from the beginning of their coverage about this. But thank you, Moki. We will see if they explain it here, or if I have it right.
Found on her body, and so I think that it's going to be very difficult for any defense expert to come in with mitigating evidence, whether it's because he grew up with a lot of trauma, he was an fetal alcohol syndrome, or whatever the case may be, because his mother drank when he was in the womb, whether he has autism, whether he has multiple personality disorder, which they now call really something completely different, or whether he's a sociopath or a psychopath. I don't think that a defense expert can change the way this trial is going to go, and that is coming from just watching this jury and hearing for ourselves what he put her through.
Wow. It's so haunting, Tanya, because when he's walking her to the van, I can't hear what they're talking. And by the way, he does drop off the Barbies first, and then he drops off the package, and then you see him. And when he first pulls over, you see him kind of looking around, almost like he does scope her out, like he sees her. You can't really see her at that point, but then you see her following him, and then him hoisting her up into that truck, and then into the van. And then, she's asking, where are we going? Like she's going, initially she's just wondering, like, where are we going?
Right.
And like, no big deal at first. But then she realizes at some point that something's wrong.
Well, and you want to talk about calculated and premeditated. There are two cameras on this FedEx van. There is a dash cam, which is very similar to a police dash cam, where it projects out in front of the van. He covered that up immediately. That we never saw any video from that once he got to Athena's house. Then after he brought her into the van, brought her into that area, we've seen the picture of her standing there while he's driving. At that point, shortly thereafter, he covers that camera. Mm-hmm. And you know what's interesting is, Rebecca, you remember he walked around that van and he looked into the passenger side window like he was scoping out the cameras. So it's totally premeditated. It's totally premeditated. This is not some person who freaked out and made bad decisions. To me, it looks very premeditated.
And we certainly don't see some alter ego come out while he is doing this to Athena.
Right.
It is very deliberate, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, he's tortured her. He tortured her. And, they claim in the indictment that she could have died by suffocation, strangulation, or blunt force trauma to the head, stomp.
Yeah, it is completely true that autism doesn't cause these types of things. Neither does the alcohol syndrome. That's not a link to this. It's, autism and the fetal alcohol syndrome are things that people do deal with, but they don't, like, people that have those things don't usually cause this type of behavior.
We heard it. And she's still alive. She's still alive.
She's still alive. And we again, the judge says there's still 30 more minutes. So we know from the opening statements that the prosecutor says you hear him over and over and over and over again attempting to kill her and choke her and take her life. And that's what we are hearing, because just as we think, she's passed away, you hear her gasping and crying and screaming, moaning, and it is awful time.
And the defendant's face is this far from the defense table. I mean, he is leaning over with his face just inches away from that table, because, and you know what I thought? This is just my impression, is that the audio is playing. There's no video. But it's video in his head.
Oh yeah,
he is seeing all of that in his head. And but again, a person, he is totally competent. There's no issue about competency. This man knows exactly what is going on, and he's not just out of it. He knows what's happening. He knows what he did. He's singing Jingle Bell Rock with a child screaming in the back of the van.
That was the word, because the whole thing is terrible. But when the Jingle Bell Rock comes on and she's screaming the entire time, and then he starts singing over her screaming, and then keeps telling her shut up while Jingle Bell Rock is playing, and he's singing like nothing's happened. It is the most awful thing I've ever heard in a quote.
Yeah, and it is completely cringe about FedEx. If they were really supposed to be monitoring the drivers in real time, they really messed up on this one. You know, yeah, if I recall correctly, they got into a lawsuit over this. Yeah, it's really, they have to watch what their drivers are doing.
And I have to say, just as we're watching different actors in the courtroom, we clearly saw the emotions from the jury, and they're taking notes as well. Some of them are taking notes, but there was emotion from both sides of the table. The prosecutors were emotional, the defense attorneys were emotional. This is not easy for either side, and I know that I'm thinking that Tanner has, according to testimony, attempted suicide several times in his life. And I'm as Rebecca said, it makes you wonder, this is in the courtroom, it makes you wonder if the defense wouldn't just rest after this because it's just so bad. However, those defense attorneys have a job that they have to do, and I admire them. It's hard. They're going to do their job, but I would not be surprised if he didn't say, I'm done. I mean, if he's truly someone who is remorseful or regrets what he did, and he's already been suicidal in the past, it makes me wonder if he would tell his lawyers, I'm done. But I know that they will continue with their case and bringing their experts because that is what they're required to do. But it's not easy on them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. I cannot imagine what it was like for you and everybody else in that courtroom that heard that. Just listening to you describe it, I personally feel physically ill. I don't know if Jingle Bell Rock will ever be the same again.
Right.
No.
And so I am horrified, and thank you for telling us about it and explaining it to people. And Keith, do you have anything you want to add?
Probably a lot. I mean, wow. I think the thing that really, as Rebecca and Terry were describing it, the questions that she asked, hey, where are we going? What are you doing? Are you a kidnapper? I mean, so it's the stranger danger, what we teach our kids. She's processing all this. Unfortunately, it's too late because she's already in the van, but for that to happen, and I could only imagine as the realization's coming to her, like how crazy that is. But I tell you what, his response when y'all were describing that, how he says, well, but I did this because you're pretty, you know that, right? Oh my goodness. If the jury isn't livid at that point, I mean, and the prosecution, I think with the DNA, we wondered, well, does it show something? And now we totally know why they put all that stuff in and what was going on. And, Terry, you explained it well, like regarding just what was going on, the play-by-play kind of what she's saying, what he's doing and everything. So.
Right. Immediately after he says to her, take your shirt off, and she went, why?
She tells him no. I mean, she says she does what her mom has told her to do. No, my mom says you're not supposed to be doing this to me.
Yeah, and then she asked him several times, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? Well, as adults, we can assume we know what he was doing.
Yeah.
And she was confused and perplexed. She had no idea what was going on. And I just, to hear her, you can hear the strangulation. And then you can hear her gasp later on as she is, I don't know, because I'm not a doctor. I don't know how she can be revived from that, and he's clearly not reviving her, as far as I know.
No, he continues to inflict more pain on her, and then gets angry because she's crying.
She won't shut up.
Yeah,
that's what he said. Shut up.
I mean, multiple times.
Do you want me to stop and come back there
and hurt you more
or worse?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is deliberate. It is premeditated. It is calculated. It is there's no confusion about it. He froze and panicked. No, he did not freeze and panic. No, not at all.
No, this is evil on a level that's just painful to listen to. Well, we're going to take a break for about a half an hour. We understand that court is going to resume at 1 o'clock, and
Yes.
that video will continue to play. We will again not be able to live stream during that. Keith and I will be back at 1, and then we will see you and Terry after y'all finish watching the video. And thank you again for doing this. We appreciate it.
Sure.
Sure. Thanks.
See you, Keith.
All right. Thank you, Moki, for the link. Hello, Saw Girl. Okay. See, hey, evening, everybody in chat and Alien. I was watching this today, and hell of a sad case, but that man is a monster animal, disgusting anyway. Oh, you're gonna have dinner, okay. I didn't know that you were gonna have the stream right now, so I'm gonna have dinner and come back. Yeah, so this stream has resurrected because of the trying out the new internet system, and the final part of this will be it'll be Ethernet hooked up to it wire like with a wire, but right now we're doing it through Wi-Fi at the moment. But it's a new system. There was a little bit of a little blimp earlier, but at the moment we are still here. So a little bump, but we're still going forward. And thank you, Sargro. Yeah, I this was a little bit of a surprise one. Just the rest of the week there was no really internet at all, and we had to try to figure out something else because of the issues that happen sometimes. So, have a good dinner. Yeah, this dude is basically a like a serial killer, serial deleter type dude, definitely. And oh, okay, so girl, understood. Thank you, thank you, Emily. And the this, in my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if he had more victims. That just weren't detected for some reason. Because usually these people do it multiple times before they're caught. It's just like even with the Chris Hansen and Skeeter Gene, two that catch messed up people, they both will see people that say that they never did it before. It was their first time, but it's actually every single one of them says that. So I don't know. It seems that a very bizarre situation of them repeating what they're doing over and over. This person, in my opinion, should never be released from prison, or if they're giving the penalty of execution, they're giving the penalty of execution, and they won't be bothering anybody anymore. But the extremely sick case that is appalling and horrid for people to see about this. And yeah, the Jingle Bells tune has been probably ruined because of what he did. They'll use a lot of times they'll use cheery musical undertones over a very messed up situation. That is something that they do to add to their depraved mixture of like lighthearted, like a music that's something lighthearted and something that is wicked at the same time. It's just pure evil, definitely. And they just, these people that have free will and they choose to do something very bad. They have these impulses and desires, and they just let it take over to the point of when they will jump the, you know, over the wall of going out and acting on it. So that is, an idea about how these people work, and he blames an alter ego for what happened, and it's a way that he maybe feel to protect himself from responsibility. Is also something that could be using to lessen a sentence or to add to an insane type of plea. People have done this before in the past. They've done this quite often. They will blame an entity or a person B or C that did it, even if there is a split personality. It's they're using it to try to downplay their sentence and to get sympathy. So it just adds more proof and evidence for them being narcissistic to the point where it's bleeding over, it's bleeding through. Like, it just basically confirms the guilty verdict about, besides the video camera of what they show, besides what you see, there are other mannerisms and behaviors and lack of taking personal accountability is the all plays a role in the type of person these monsters are. I think out of all the trials I've seen, this trial is going to be obvious. With the Tanner trial, it's going to be obvious what they're going to probably do, in my opinion. So it is a matter of time until it completely ends to really have it, the case play through in its entirety. I think this is probably one of the darkest ones we've seen so far. Or at least it would be up in that category of one of the darkest ones we've seen. Yeah. That's why it's good to watch yourselves and the people you care about, because something can be gone in a blink of an eye, like a magic trick. And I think the prosecution is doing an excellent job with this. And I'm glad that they're exposing what is happening, because people across the world want justice for these types of behaviors. And going this way. Definitely we'll see in the media coverage. CBS, Texas, and Fox 4 reported that the jurors were play over half the audio inside of the van. Oh, okay. And they captured what was going on, and then as we just saw in the video, the journalists were describing what was going on with the atmosphere of the situation. So, and we just saw the two ladies that were in the courthouse that were talking about the case and the graphic details of the jingle bells thing being played in the background. Yeah. And there's witness testimony. The court TV highlighted the testimony of Athena's father, Jacob Strand, who spoke about his guilt over not being there to protect her. Media also covered the recall of Texas Ranger Job Esperanza, who detailed the dash cam footage showing Horner using the sticky notes to cover the van's camera shortly before arriving at Athena's residence. Yeah, I mean, The parents, I'm sure, feel unimaginably guilty for these things. He was on a hunting trip, if I read that correctly, and I'm sure he wished he would have been there and like being watching his kid and making sure that everything was going okay, or at least bringing her on the hunting trip with him. Now, one thing about helicopter parents that I think is good is that it would be less likely for things like this to happen. Perhaps I'm not saying that they weren't helicopter parents. I'm just saying that it would decrease the likelihood of that occurring, in my opinion. So I think the media's coverage of this has been doing pretty good. Yeah, I just think that a lot of times these all the defense is doing is making excuses. Like what Ann and I were talking about in the chat about developmental issues, just so stupid, and neurological issues, real stupid too, and trauma and environmental factors. Is this because there's no, of course attorneys are supposed to defend their clients, that's their job. There's nothing really to defend here when you have a situation like that. It's you know it's pretty much given to you on a silver plate right there of what is going on. And I'll tell you what, people that have all these different disorders or problems do not do things like this. I think the defense has 19 witnesses. So, anyway, this one's pretty much going to be a landslide for the prosecution. So, I think they're going to, especially it's Texas, they're going to get what they're wanting to get. Okay. Yeah, and that is the coverage of the. Well, I'm still going to be live, but yeah, so that is a recap about the two trials today. Okay, let's see this. So I'm just curious about this list, and they talk about alcohol, the the state of the mind, and other things like that. Just basically, all these witnesses aren't going to do anything, with this case. Okay, and let's see about this. There's some upcoming trials. Let's see. Larry Milite, a no-body murder trial involving the 2021 disappearances of his wife Maya. After several delays, it is now scheduled for May 11, 2026. Shauna Gardner, accused in the murder for hire plot of her ex-husband, Microsoft executive Jared Bridigan. Her trial is currently set for August 3, 2026. And there's Lindsay Clancy. Facing charges of deaths of her 3 children in 2023, and her trial is expected to begin in July 2026. All right, and there's Luigi Mangione, accused of the fatal shooting of CEO Brian Thomas. And there is another one in New York, Rex Heuermann, the suspect of the Gilgo Beach serial leader. Pre-trial hearings continue with a firm trial date expected late this year. U.S. Supreme Court criminal trials. Okay, so we have Villarreal versus Texas investigates Sixth Amendment rights to counsel and whether the judges can bar attorneys from consulting which client's trial recesses. Baird versus United States addresses the double jeopardy clause and whether consecutive sentences can be given for the same act under 2 different provisions. U.S. Hernamni, a Second Amendment challenge regarding the constitutionality of prohibiting unlawful users of the controlled substances from possessing firearms. Oh, hello UAP, welcome to the stream. Brendan Banfield, convicted of double murder in February, sentence scheduled for May 8, 2026. Paul Canirio, New Jersey, found guilty of February 13, 2026, quadruple murder of his brother and family and arson. Okay, Hunter Biden, currently living abroad after the pardoned by his father in late 2024. Okay, see, that's right. I remember that from last year. Okay. All right, current dockets for 2026 feature the several high-profile criminal trials, pivotal Supreme Court arguments below. We're going to discuss some of these. Okay. There's Larry Millett, what we talked about. Trial for the no body murder on May 11, 2026. There's Frederick Tardy, Texas, one of the 3 suspects in the capital murder of Harris County. Deputy Aaron Almenarez. His trial is set for May 8, 2026. Okay, so it looks like what I was talking about before. All right, the Supreme Court hearing is several criminal-related cases in the final arguments of the 25-26 terms. The Stripetch versus SEC, whether SEC can seek equitable discouragement without showing pecuniary harm to investigators. FCC versus AT&T. Whether FCC monetary forfeitures are consistent with the Seventh Amendment's Article 3. Well, UAP, that is great that you took those shorts. I'll certainly like to see them. Yeah, they definitely have a thing for U.S. bases. Indeed. Not U.S. bases, but military, because you're international. The military bases in general. Okay, and we're going to go through a hypothetical about UAPs. Okay, we're going to go this way. Now, so for instance, here are some hypotheticals about the UAPs, what they're trying to do. So if you were, oh, hello, Rita. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Rita, we were talking about the two trials that were on earlier and did recap about them. Definitely some pretty dark cases right now. I hope you're doing well this evening. All right. If an alien was exploring a new planet, you wouldn't just look for the farms, you'd look for the defenses. Hypothetically, aliens would be interested in the most advanced technology to determine if we are a potential threat to them or if we are capable of reaching their own territory. There has been a long-standing pattern of U.S. sightings near nuclear silos, power plants, and aircraft carriers. Hypotheses here include safety monitoring. Galactic neighbor might be concerned pattern U.S. sightings near nuclear silos, power plants, and aircraft carriers. The hypothesis here include safety monitoring. Galactic neighbor might be concerned that we will accidentally or intentionally destroy our own biosphere. Emergency detection. Rita, I am talking about a recap on the trials that we watched today, and some stuff about some alien stuff that UAP brought up about explaining why UFOs, aliens might be visiting military bases. So yeah, there was, which I don't know, Rita. So are you keeping up with the Grits trial or Tanner trial? Because we have been keeping up with both of them, and they have some pretty, messed up testimonies that have come out of these trials. Now, I think the Grits one is so stupid that she was never going to get away with that. The way she thought she was. She was certainly going to get caught, and nobody was buying what she was selling. Not at all. The other trial is a no-brainer. I'm sure Texas is going to put the full penalty on him for that one. Other things I'm exploring, the idea of concepts is these UFOs seem to be appearing over military bases across the world, and assuming they're aliens from other planets, just kind of explaining why these aliens from other planets would be interested in these military bases. Although they could be something from Earth, hypothetically. Just a speculation if they're aliens from other worlds, why they're doing it. Nuclear fission might emit a signature that is easily detectable from space or across dimensions, making our bases light up like beacons. So they may be attracted to it like a moth to a flame. Just as human biologists study the behaviors of lions or wolves to understand their social structures, aliens might be studying the military to understand human psychology. The way species organize for defense or aggression tells you everything you need to know about the cooperation, hostility, and social development. If these entities are waiting for a specific event like the first contact moment or for humanity to reach a certain technological milestone, military airspace is strategically placed to hang out. It's where the action is. By staying near bases, they can monitor our technology and the evolution of our technology in real time. Many pilots describe UAPs as being playful or engaging in a game of cat and mouse. Logic. They may be testing or response sometimes or electric warfare. Electronic warfare could be a possibility too. Capabilities by appearing and then vanishing. They might be training us to get used to their presence or demonstrating that our most advanced weapons are completely ineffective against them. All right, so those are some theories why, if it is extraterrestrials or something from another world, why they're at those bases. Okay, and let's see this right here. Let's see, let's go this way. Yes, the trial of Grist, which I'll explain what that is. So, oh, okay, thank you, AP, for your commentary about that. All right, and Rita said, "Is this trial going on now?" Okay, so the two trials are going on is Tanner versus Texas, and the Utah versus Grist. So Grist and Tanner are both going on now. So the Grist trial, mother-in-law murder trial, is centers on January 2024 shooting deaths of Matthew Stelly. Prosecutors allege that Tracy Grist mastermind conspiracy with her children, Kevin Ellis and Catherine Rastelli, to lure Matthew to her Utah home and delete him following a contentious martial breakdown, material breakdown, whatever it is. The state's case highlights weeks of surveillance efforts, which include placing air tags on the victim's truck to track his movements. Prosecutors presented evidence of a calculated setup alleging Grist showed her daughter a knife wrapped in rubber glove search for "It's Happening" meme just hours before the murder signal start of the ambush. Movie says those were definitely not drone. Yeah, okay, I read that. The Grist trial is supposed to last for 3 weeks. Okay, and the other trial is in the death penalty phase. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, and we will see how both trials develop over time. Now, there's some unsolved cases that we also talk about here, and there is the Mary C. 1872. The American merchant ship was found drifting in the Atlantic Ocean, perfectly seaworthy with all cargo and supplies intact, but completely empty. No signs of struggle were found, and the crew was never heard from again. The Dyatlov Pass incident, 1959. The 9 experienced hikers passed away and perished under mysterious circumstances in the Ural Mountains. Their tent was cut open from the inside, and they fled to the snow. And their underwear theories range from infrasound to secret military testing. All right, Black Dahlia, the brutal murder of Elizabeth Short in Los Angeles remains one of the most famous cold cases. Her body was found severed and strategically drained of blood with a smile carved into her face. Yeah, very disturbing. Moki asks UAP how many did he see. Yeah, and I will hopefully he posts or will post the videos so we could look at them. Voynich manuscript, a medieval book written in an unknown script code that has baffled the world's top cryptographers and even FBI. It contains strange illustrations of plants that didn't exist in celestial maps, and Rita says hello to Moki. In celestial maps that have never been decoded. Dark matter, the dark energy, everything we see in the universe, stars, planets, and galaxies only make up 5% of what exists, and the rest is dark, meaning it has a mass but doesn't emit light. We have no idea what it actually is. Yeah, the infamous WOW signal, 1977, a strong narrowband. A strong narrowband radio signal detected by Brig Ear Radio Telescope, bearing the hallmark of potential alien transmission. It lasted 72 seconds and has never been heard again. Oki says, haven't sucked on the tailpipe yet. Yeah. And Rita says, well, that's good. I've been laid up, had tension surgery. Oh, wow. He had. Oh, by the way, hello, Zoomy. Welcome to the chat. Laid up, and yeah, definitely thoughts about speedy recovery, Rita. That definitely sounds like it was, very serious. Okay, and Zoomy, yeah, Zoomy, it's the signals from from Atlas. Yeah, very true. In 1518, France, hundreds of people began dancing uncontrollably for days on end without stopping, leading to many deaths from exhaustion and heart failure. Researchers still debate whether it was mass hysteria or poisoning. Family New Jersey forced to sell their dream home after receiving chilling anonymous letters signed by the watcher who claimed family had been watched the house for generations. Yeah, the thing about the Malaysian Airlines is that these orbs appeared allegedly around the aircraft, and then the plane disappeared, so it must have went into another realm or dimension. There are some people on the plane that were artists and people that were on business trips, and it just vanished out of thin air. So yeah, it's definitely something, in my opinion, supernatural. There's just things in this world that we can't always explain. Yeah. Rita says hasn't been painful yet. Get the stitches out Monday and then start PT. That's when it'll probably start to hurt. Hope not though. Oh, I hope it doesn't either. And yeah, I hope it's very quick and painless, and recovery can just be as smooth as possible. Okay, UAP. Who shot the video with the orbs going around the plane, though suggesting it was pre-planned? Okay. Yeah, they either caught it at the right moment, or it could have been pre-planned. That's a theory. Okay. Let's see this. uh, yeah, a hilarious Smokey. Okay. And Zumi says that plane had gray aliens flying around it, and the grays eat humans. They teleported the plane to another dimension. Thank you, Zumi, for your take on that. Okay. Now, allegedly, the orbs orbiting the plane is allegedly a hoax, right? But I don't know if it's really a hoax. So if it did happen for real, the person whoever filmed it is unknown. Now, the videos first gained traction after being uploaded to YouTube in May 2014 by an account named the Regicide Anon. This user claimed the footage was leaked from high-end military surveillance, specifically the MQ-9 Reaper drone and satellite labeled NROL-22. Now, these allegedly, if it's the video was a hoax, this is how it was made. Allegedly, if it was a hoax. Jonas D. Rowe, forensic analyst by investigators, the VFX artists identified that the satellite footage used static photographs of clouds taken by photographer Jonas in 2012, provide the original high-resolution raw files from his archive, which perfectly matched the clouds in every frame in the leak video. I agree, Zumi. Because a lot of times there'll be a video that's real, and they'll say that somebody sat there and made a CGI version of it. You know, they do that because they don't want people to know the truth about it, and they don't want to have panics happening. So they go and kind of tell you, they tell everybody a lie. But no, the truth really is that it was something real and nothing. UAP said UAPs around planes is quite a common thing. New Zealand had historical documented case with mail plane back in the early 80s. Thank you, UAP. Yeah, it happened in World War II also. Their planes had the same thing happen. Like I said, I was watching video clips of the original moon landing. No way can that be real. When the capsule lifts off the moon, it looks totally crazy fake, but yeah, so in the moon landing video, there's this capsule that's looks like it was made by, the 60s or 70s type of stop animation, similar to the Santa Claus movies from I think I don't know 60s or 70s, like the stop clay motion animation. That's what it reminds me of. And everybody makes jokes in the comment section. Anytime I see that video, that they left the cameraman behind that was filming it going back into space to our planet. And there's shadows that aren't supposed to be there. There's it's kind of like a movie set. Yeah, that part is really crazy because you seen the thing rise off the thing up into back in the atmosphere, going back to Earth. That just doesn't make any sense. The FX asset source. The portal or zap in the end of the video identified as VXX researchers as a specific digital asset from the 90s. The cameraman wasn't stationary, it pans up. Okay, thank you, Monkey. Yeah, exactly. A good point. And researcher specific digital assets from the 90s, 2D ink drop shockwave effect, often used in video games and movies. But anyway, I believe that. So if the Malaysian airline footage is real, it was a surveillance military drone. Okay, next thing we're going to look at is other cases. Moki says now the internet is saying that the two of the Artemis crew are actors with IMDb pages. Yeah, I've seen some videos, some like reels of that. The people in the Artemis crew actually were actors from other little movies and films and stuff. And that's what it was. Yes, you did, Moki. I saw his commentary about it. I think what he said was well said. I agree with him. Oh, hello, Mermaid. Nice to see you. And get well soon. Rita says, I forgot which one it was of the astronauts said before that they left, but they made it sound like this was the first time going to the moon. Oh yeah, there is a reel I saw of the astronaut, and he was talking at a briefing. I call it a briefing or an interview about it, and Bro said it's the first time we've ever been in the atmosphere to the moon. And the way he said it sounded like we'd never been to the moon before originally. So people were kind of like, hey, our bro accidentally slipped and said facts that they didn't go to the moon. Okay. There's also yes, Mermaid. I remember when we were over at Mermaid's premiere. She was playing Subnautica, which is this underwater exploration game. She was saying she's starting to believe in Geralt the dolphin, and Mermaid. I definitely agree with you about that. So, and Moki, on my phone lives, I've been talking about Geralt the dolphin a lot. Gerald, rather, not Gerald, Gerald. I've been talking about Gerald the dolphin a lot and telling everybody about it. It's certainly something I think is probably true. Did you see the speech of the lady astronaut gave where she glitches like her earpiece went out and no one was feeding her line? I don't know. I may have seen something like that, but I'm not entirely sure if I saw that. But that definitely would be a sign of it not being consistently what they're saying it is. I'll definitely have to check that out. Okay, I'll tell you who Geralt is. Yeah, I think I saw it, Moki. I think so. I just don't know 100%. I did. Okay. Oh, let's just use this window. I'm going to do it right now. Okay. Yeah, Geralt's a dolphin, by the way. So here we go. The story of Geralt the Dolphin is a viral social media story. Claims that the Florida man was kidnapped by a pod of dolphins and forced to work on a building an underwater city. According to the fictional tale, Lee County deputies found a man soaking wet, barefoot on the Sanibel Causeway, fractionally drawing complex blueprints of the zooming diagrams in the sand. The man allegedly claimed he had been held by 40 feet below the surface for these 3 days by a group of dolphins led by the foreman named Gerald, who communicated through a series of clicks to the man eventually learned to interpret. It was from a Facebook page called Dude Humor Report on March 4, 2026. The post included humorous details such as the quote from the deputy who was reportedly impressed by the man's grasp of underwater zoning. Despite obviously lots of outlandish claims here, including claims that the dolphins found a way to help the man breathe underwater, the story quickly spread across the internet and TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, garnering millions of viewers, convincing some, and many more that the event was real. Yeah, so this engineer was brought to this secret base underwater by dolphins, and Gerald was the shot caller, the guy that was like the manager, and he had him construct it, right? Reconstruct something down there, and there's this dolphin kingdom. There has been stories of people from the internet that so many people, like in the military, etc., have dealt with dolphins in a positive way. Yes, Anna, for real. Yeah. A man washed up on the beach and he told the tales that Ural the dolphin brought him underwater with other dolphins and they created a new base. He helped build it. Moki said people saw black helicopters over the area and 40 dolphins washed up, deleted, dead. So yeah, that is what happened, chat, in this situation. Because this case, and he had sediment and seawater in his lungs. Also, by the way. Yeah. So he had seawater and sediment layer in his lungs, and there was these dolphins that were washing up on the beaches, and it was believed that they were trying to censor the dolphins and didn't want them to tell the truth. Now, there's people in the military that have dealt with dolphins before, apparently, that had, intelligent communication with them. Now, if this is real or not, people could believe it or not believe it. Dolphins are very intelligent. They help people that are going through sinkings, and they have very strong relations with the other dolphins. Like humans and dolphins get along pretty well. So that is a story, Girl with Dolphin. Lee County Sheriff's Office eventually issued the tongue-in-cheek about saying that no such arrest or incident took place, but they jokingly noted that the underwater construction investigation team found no evidence of the deep sea development and that local dolphins denied dolphins were brought to the earth a long time ago. Ah, okay, thank you for your take. And Oki said, back in the day, CIA was teaching dolphins to communicate and attack foreign advisories, which they just down the program they released the attack dolphins into the wild. Ah, yes. We can replay it, Anna. I don't know. I don't know what they talked about today. I know that they did. They had something today, but I don't know what they talked about. Okay. Okay, let's go explain this thing. That is true, Moki. It's illegal to interact with dolphins in the wild. It's very suspicious. You have one factor here that they didn't want people to interact with dolphins in the wild. And they didn't want people to interact with dolphins in a certain location, dolphins washing up on shore. It's just all doesn't add up. Like dolphins are known to be very intelligent and communicate with humans. The CIA allegedly used dolphins in an experiment to deter threats. So yeah, you gotta wonder about could they be hiding something? And even this in Anna, I hear what you're saying. The Simpsons did a story, one of their shows about a dolphins taking over the world. So yeah, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. But thank you, Anna. It's definitely sound. This would be a very good movie if it came out. By the way. Dolphins are widely considered. This is a fun fact right here about dolphins. Oh yeah, I agree, Anna. Um, People might want to do things to dolphins that are not good, but but we gotta see here that if someone wants to pet a dolphin or something like that, they shouldn't be stopped from interacting with them, perhaps. But I understand there are people that might try to hurt them. Dolphins are widely considered some of the most intelligent creatures on Earth, possessing. Yeah, that is true, Anna. Definitely possessing large, complex brains with high encephalization quotient (EQ), a ratio of brain size to body mass that is second only to humans. Their brains feature a highly developed neocortex and specialized paralimbic system responsible for processing complex emotions and social information. Dolphin encounter places where they want to have you go. Yeah, well, if there's a place where we can interact with dolphins, I'm certainly going to see what I can about talking to cousins, Gerald's cousins. And in self-awareness, dolphins are one of the few species to pass the mirror test, recognizing their own reflections rather than treating the image as another dolphin. Complex communications. Each dolphin develops a unique signature whistle that acts like a name, allowing individuals to identify and call to one another even after decades of separation. Problem solving, a tool use and tool use. In Shark Bay, Australia, dolphins use marine sponges as tools to protect their snouts while foraging on the sea floor. In captivity, a dolphin named Kelly famously learned to hoard a litter and tear into the smaller pieces trade more fish rewards. Rita says, did anybody hear there was a break in Nancy Guthrie case? They found a hair and said Savannah left the stage during the interview. I didn't hear about that. Thank you for the update. I will go see about what that's about. Thank you. Oh yeah, yeah, exactly, Mermaid. Yeah, about the dolphins. See, social cooperation. Dolphins have advanced teamwork, such as using bubbles to coral fish into the tight groups for feeding, correspondence, synchronous moments to deter predators. Oh, I know for a fact that manatees are not supposed to be interacted with because they're so friendly and cute. People might try to do something bad to them. Let's see. In Florida, you cannot legally touch wild dolphins, but you can touch dolphins in authorized captive facilities through interactive programs. And the NOAA recommends staying at least 50 yards, 150 feet away from wild dolphins at all times. And let's see. Yeah, manatees are so cute. Like they go up to random people and hug. Exactly, Moki. And there's a $50,000 potential year in prison, a $50,000 fine, and a potential year in prison. Exactly. They don't want the dolphins exposing the alien bases underwater. Exactly. And something that is a concrete fact is that dolphins have their own language and they're extremely intelligent. Some of the most intelligent things on this planet. That is a fact. So, with all these other things out here like aliens and concepts we don't quite understand, I'm not going to be surprised that there's some sort of secrets dolphins are concealing. And also with manatees, you cannot legally touch manatees. Touching them is considered harassment and is strictly prohibited, both state and federal. Okay, and oh yeah, thank you, Rita, for that one, for bringing that one up. So recently, there has been nuclear scientists that are all going missing, and they seem to be located on the West Coast, apparently. Now, over in the West Coast, there's all kinds of different government facilities. The state of Nevada is all kinds of government testing is done at that state alone. So the Castland, he dealt with UFOs. He's gone. All these people are just disappearing and dropping like flies. And I also want to know disclosure on why they're going. Now, recently there was Epstein files released. There's also talk about the other files being released with extraterrestrials. I believe both things are linked together, both situations. So I wonder myself about this. So in my theory about the reason why the nuclear scientists are disappearing is because they may know information. I suppose that they don't want them being released. It's up to 10 now. I don't know if the aliens are taking them. It's something to definitely ponder about what the reason could be. Because when they do disclosure, they may not want people to. They want disclosure being done in the way they want it to. It's absolutely crazy, but it is a mystery. Nothing has been confirmed, and they all had something to do with UFOs or aliens. I don't know what that means or what it doesn't mean. All I know is there's some more questions than answers. Some speculate that the scientists working on highly sensitive aerospace or nuclear fission projects are required to enter a black site or go completely off grid to protect the state secrets, to preventing espionage, or what happened in the Manhattan Project. It's just as scientists were sequestered during the development of the atomic bomb, modern researchers might be moved to classic locations to work our breakthrough UAP identified anomalous phenomena technology. And silence is a great filter. More ominous hypothetical researcher reasons is that so if it's not them being disappearing because they're working on a new project that they don't want them to be in espionage or something. So other theories like what I've been suggesting is hypothetical reason is that the scientists discovered something so world altering that they were silenced to prevent this mass panic. Existential threats. If scientists found proof of a great filter or a phenomenon that destroys advanced civilization before they can travel to the stars, the information might be so in demand and so dangerous that the public should know about it in their eyes. Suppression of technology. Theories often suggest that if scientists discovered free energy or propulsion systems based on alien technology, powerful electric and economic interests might intervene to suppress the knowledge. I sure don't, Loki. I don't think they're trustworthy. They seem like they're the ones behind everything, or at least very unreliable. All right. Foreign intelligence targets. Law enforcement officials, including the former FBI assistants, have suggested that scientists in sensitive fields like particle beam technology or astrophysics are high value targets for foreign advertisers. Oh, Mike worked in nuclear security. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, so he since he worked in nuclear security, he definitely could have definitely been around some of these projects that we're speaking of here. Very cool. Extraction. They may have been kidnapped by a foreign power to jumpstart that nation's own advanced technology programs. Yeah, definitely an interesting job, indeed. There's Neil McCasland, retired Air Force Research Lab. Monica Jacknito Reza, NASA rocket scientist. Michael David Hicks, NASA researcher. Stephen Garcia, nuclear weapons contractor. Oh, yeah. That sounds like a really fun job, Moki, that he had. Yeah, very fun. Well, some experts, such as Harvard's Avi Loeb, suggest uh, Avi Loeb suggests that these cases may be tragic but unrelated coincidences and sheer number of experts from the same niche fields. Has led for Congress for call to answers. Oh, he hates his job. Yeah, I see. He's a mold fitter in a glass factory. Well, glass certainly is a meticulous job because you have to make sure that you're not, messing up the the molds in the glass, and that it could be and the glass doesn't break. So yeah, it definitely sounds tedious. These are the names: William Neil McCasland, Monica Reza, Stephen Garcia, Anthony Chavez, Melissa Cassius, Nuno Lore Lorerio, Carl Glimmer, M. David Hicks. Exactly, Moki, because it's meticulous skills to deal with stuff like that. Yeah, it definitely has to take knowledge and talent. I mean, Windows are something that everybody needs in their home. Windows are everywhere, so it's definitely a much needed trade. Well, that sounds delicious, UAP. And Rita said, "We're still not really." John hates his company he works for. That sucks. Oh, the company, yeah. See, when companies don't care about their people, you're gonna have a lousy environment. So, yeah, companies need to stop acting like Timu and Sheen. Oh, okay, Rita. Okay, he's almost done. That's good to know. Moki says I have no useful skills, so I'm screwed when the apocalypse comes. Scared. Scared. And yeah, I mean, with glass, they used to have to, blow the glass. Also, the same thing with bricks was kind of similar. So over time, with modern technology, things got better. But shout out to the skills out there to be able to handle these things. Yeah. And one thing that both good about Moki and Rita is they have very strong resilience. That's a skill that many people don't have. The resilience to keep going when things get hard is, I think, argue one of the key essentials to surviving anything. So resilience and never giving up will that person will do better than anybody with the jack of all trades that didn't have the skill of persistence and resilience. Yeah. So that is my verdict on that. But the the apocalypse, there are going to be those that are not going to see it coming and they'll get scared. Okay. Yeah, let's see what's Congress' response to disappearances. Put that right now. Missing 10 is a military official ties with NASA nuclear labels like Los Alamos and Advanced Aerospace Research, who have mysteriously died or vanished since 2023. And April 16, 2026, President Trump confirmed that White House is investigating these cases as pretty serious stuff, though he noted he hopes the pattern is merely a coincidence. Okay, these are the patterns and details of disappearances. Sensitive work. Nearly all victims were involved in highly classified or technical fields such as nuclear propulsion, asteroid deflection, or fusion research. Right, the bizarre circumstances. Several details, like Joe McCaslin and Stephen Garcia, disappeared on foot while leaving behind their phones, glasses, but taking wallets and firearms. UFO link. Speculation has been fueled for the history with Air Force Research Laboratory in his brief role as consultant for UAP research groups. Yeah, extremely disturbing. Investigation timeline. President Trump stated News Nation that the administration expects to have more definitive answers about its week and a half. Okay, and let's see new info on 3. Oh, let's see. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna sign off. Happy to see your regular stream, Alien. Hope to see you tomorrow. Yes, I am glad too, and it was nice seeing you tonight. Thank you for coming, and have a good evening. It's nice being back. Yes. Alrighty. And because today we got the new internet setup, and there's still more has to be done with it. But there was one little bump in the road earlier, but as I said, the whole time we have been here so far. It's pretty cool. As of April 16, 2026, there are major new forensic and legal developments in the case of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah, who has been missing from her Arizona home since February 1. DNA analysis. The FBI currently using advanced technology to analyze new DNA evidence. This evidence, which reportedly includes hairs recovered from Nancy Guthrie's home, was sent to the FBI lab after initial testing by the facility in Florida. Peacemaker data. Investigators have successfully decoded internal logs from Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker. These logs provided critical forensic data that could pinpoint her movements or physical status around the time of her disappearances, even though her mobile devices were disconnected. Vehicle of interest. Arizona authorities are reviewing surveillance footage from a Circle K, Oracle Road in Tucson, featuring potential vehicle of interest. New evidence found. Previously unaccounted for surveillance camera was recently discovered on the roof of Nancy's home. Detectives are examining the footage to see if captured her apparent abduction. Road restrictions. The FBI has issued a new directive restricting road access to the area surrounding Nancy's residence as they conduct a more intensive search of the property and its perimeter. Mary Tools, how's it pronounced? I forgot. meter. Oh, I guess get no answer. Anyway. So I was asking you a question. There's something called. Oh yeah, I figured it out. It's perimeter. No, it's Perimeter. Perimeter. Yeah, I forgot how to pronounce it first. Yeah, it's perimeter. Chat. I forgot how to pronounce it for a second, for some reason, because of the Timu brain for a moment. Savannah Guthrie's return. Savannah returned to 30 Rockefeller Plaza on Thursday to thank her colleagues and support on the ongoing search efforts while she plans to return to the air eventually. She is currently focused on her family's efforts to bring Nancy home. Abduction theory. Authorities continue to treat the case as a potential abduction, particularly after FBI released images of a masked person at her front door just before she vanished. All right, so that is information on Guthrie's disappearance that came out. All right, self awareness. Dolphins are. So here's some fun facts about dolphins. All right, dolphins are one of the few species to pass the mirror test, recognizing their own reflection rather than treating the images as another dolphin. Each dolphin develops unique signature whistle that acts as a name, allowing individuals to identify and call one another even after decades of separation. Problem solving and tool use. And yeah, very cool. That sounds awesome comedy, definitely. Yeah, these creatures are very smart because there's as you've heard me in the streams talk about Gerald the dolphin, I'm just kind of going over some fun facts about dolphins. Problem solving and tool use. In Shark Bay, Australia, the dolphins use the marine sponges as tools to protect their snouts while foraging on the seafloor. Correct, comedy. Correct. They're very similar to humans. Social cooperation. Dolphins exhibit advanced teamwork as using the bubbles and coral reefs into tight groups for feeding or coordinating synchronous moments to deter predators. Echolocation. They possess a biological sonar system that allows them to see with sound in determining the size and shape and even internal structure of objects hundreds of yards away. Dolphin intelligence is often described as alien because while they rival humans' complexity, their brains evolved in a completely different way. Dolphin brains versus human brains. While both species have highly developed brains, their internal structure prioritizes Different skills, size and surface area. A bottlenose dolphin's brain is typically larger than a human's in absolute terms. It also has 40% more cerebral cortex and significantly more folds, which increase the surface area available for processing information. The paralimbic lobe. The dolphins possess an entire lobe of brain tissue that humans lack. The paralimbic lobe. This region is an extension of the limbic system and is integrated into the cortex, suggesting that the dolphins may possess emotions and social information much more rapidly than and globally than we do. Prefrontal cortex. Humans have a much larger, more developed prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for long term planning, decision making, and complex reasoning. Okay, Rita, hope to see you tomorrow too. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Okay. Sensory processing. A huge portion of the dolphin brain is dedicated to auditory processing for the echolocation, whereas humans devote more space to visual processing. Scientists distinguish between communication and language. Okay, thank you, Mermaid. A weird chase wreck on SNS just ended. Okay, yeah. I'm glad he was able to cover it. And some of those chases can be very strange. A huge portion of the brain is dedicated to processing, where humans devote more space visual processing. Scientists distinguish between communication and language, while dolphins communicate consistently. A natural dolphin language with human-like grammar hasn't been fully yet proven yet. Signature whistles. Each dolphin creates a unique whistle in infancy that functions like a name. They use these to identify themselves and can even mimic a friend's whistle to call them. Motheries, like humans, motheries. Uh, Mother dolphins use baby talk, raising the pitch frequency to communicating with their calves to help them learn. Calves. That's what I want to say. Autistic image, because no, acoustic image, because they use sonar. Some researchers believe dolphins might communicate using acoustic pictures instead of a word of for fish. You might send the burst of sound that mimics the exact echo of a fish produces efficiently showing the object to another dolphin. Beyond names, dolphins use shared whistles that may act as like one word. One specific whistle has been observed to function as an alarm call, causing a pod to scatter. Okay, so let's go this way. Now, we've seen the pool rooms game being played before. I've seen it with Mermaid before. And I'm just curious about these conspiracy theories, so we're going to go dive into that about what the game could be about. And it's a subgenre of the backrooms horror games and internet lore that focuses on the vast, flooded, and unnaturally clean tiled environments. While the game often has no explicit narrative, the community has developed several dark conspiracy theories to explain their existence. All right, the purgatory or penance theory. This suggests that the protagonist is trapped in a liminal space as a form of divine or psychological limbo. The murder. One popular theory claims that the player character is paying for a past sin, specifically deletion, death, or abuse involving loved ones. The infinite water represents the drowning of the partner, and UAP says hello to Mermaid. Drowning of a partner or a childhood trauma that the creators of the space are mocking. Well, thank you, AP. We hope you're doing well too. Right. The sheep. The imagery, a specific scene involving the sheep on a couch, is often cited as a metaphor for an innocent creature trapped in a dangerous environment, representing the theft of innocence. Now, because the torture of eternal boredom, because the world lacks hunger, thirst, or traditional monsters, players cannot die the usual way. Psychological decay. The conspiracy is that the space is designed to lead mind to nothingness. Eventually, isolation becomes so extreme that the player begins to pray for eternity to appear and delete them just to end the boredom. Although I think that is quite intriguing, people can make their own versions of the pool rooms. Like people make their own versions of the game, and so many creative content creators have made their own versions of the game that are very fascinating and scary. Right. The async and government cover-up theories derived from the broader backroom lore. Backrooms lore. This theory posits that corporate entity, often called the async, open a portal to these dimensions for infinite storage or living space. Field experiments. The pool rooms the pool rooms are seen as a failed or flooded sector of this experiment. Some believe the tapes found in the game are evidence recovered as the async after explorers went missing. Playing those games with VR is really immersive. Yeah, it's very surreal, like being really there in person. Absolutely. Some community members theorize that the universal eeriness of the pool rooms come from a shared real world trauma or collective childhood memories of public indoor pools. Victims' connection. A darker version of this theory suggests that people who dream of the specific tiled rooms may have been victims of real world conspiracies or hidden traumatic events that took place in similar locations. Genetic memory and shared trauma. We talk about that. And hidden entries. Although developers of pools state there are no monsters, players frequently report side eye encounters or feeling of being watched. Staring glitches. Players have claimed to catch humanoid shapes or mannequins, looking at them and then quickly looking away when spotted, leading to theories that the game is alive or contains hidden entities not listed in the official code. Now let's see this right here. The Lawnmower Man. Yeah. The theory that the pool room's environment itself is a singular living entity is a popular and compelling idea within the community. Rather than the rooms being a place that contains monsters, this theory suggests that the architecture in the water are parts of a master entity or a massive living organism. Consistent ripples. Many players notice that the water is in the games like pools are often have minimal but constant rippling even when the player is standing perfectly still. Theorists suggest that this is the pulse or breathing of the level itself. Healing properties. In some lore, the water is the cleaner sectors, has anomalous healing properties. This leads to theories that the water is a kind of amniotic fluid or a biological system designed to keep its guest player alive for as long as possible. Yes, inside the belly of the beast. That's true. Imperfect reconstruction. A common theory is that the pool rooms results of non-human entity trying to mimic a human architecture. This explains why things like stairs lead to nowhere or toilets and submerge underwater. The entities understand the entity understands the look of the pool, but not the function. Psychological digestion. Instead of heating your body, the environment digests your sanity. The theory suggests that the entity feeds on isolation and dread experienced by the wanderer until they are eventually absorbed into the tiles. Unnatural cleanliness. The tiles in the games are famously pristine, lacking any grim mold or wear. The conspiracy theories argue that this isn't just design choice, but a biological sense of cleaning mechanism, similar to how a white blood cell attacks bacteria. Absence of traditional monsters. The game pools which has no enemies. Fans theorize that the no monsters can survive there because the pool itself is the apex predator and doesn't share its territory. Quantum imprints. One dark theory on Reddit suggests that the when the pool dies, these spaces there enter consciousness as imprinted into the environment. This would make the pool's collective entity composed of memories and traumas of everyone who ever got lost in them. While Pools is officially a monster-free walking sim, players have discovered unsettling secret areas and glitches that suggest the environment is aware of them. The eyes said, "Look behind you, encounter." Chapter 4, there is a specific achievement that even event that directly suggests the environment is stalking the player. Shadow figure, if you flick your camera and turn around quickly in certain dark hallways, the humanoid figures can sometimes be seen for a split second before the sinks into the floor. Awareness. This entity only appears when you aren't looking directly at it, implying it knows where your line of sight is and is actively hiding. In the vast submerged area founding in the Chapter 0 beta, the players have found surreal environmental securities that feel like witnesses to their journey. At the bottom of the deep sunken space, a face-like structure stares up from the depths of the tiles, watching players as they swim above it. The misplaced ship. In the same area, a massive ship looms underwater. Entering it leads to misplaced achievement. Hitting the player has stepped somewhere the entity didn't intend to go to them. The entity didn't intend for them to go at all. About that. The factory and error production. Chapter 6. The hidden factory room reveals the mechanical industrial side of the pools that feel like the innards of a living machine. Mannequin line. Players can find a room where mannequins are transported on moving hooks. If you wait long enough, an error in production occurs where a flamingo-shaped tube appears among the mannequins. The mockery. Some theories believe that this factory is where the environment crafts nostalgia items, like sheep on the couch, manipulate the player's psyche. Interactive traps and relief. Environment often reacts to players' presence in ways that feel like a predator luring prey. Innovation. In a hotel section, entering the room with a red sofa will cause the doors to quietly close behind you. This unlocks the room service achievement, which guide noting that it feels like something wants you to stay. The glitches. Some lore from level 37 speaks of glitches, silent skeleton-like entities that lurk in pitch black hallways, serving as the immune system for the pool rooms. All right, so okay, at this point in time, we'll go here. Super chats on deck. Let's see what happened there. Okay, so earlier Mary Tootle said, "Welcome back, alien spaceship," and Falcon sent gifted 10 memberships. Okay, we got that. Okay, so that will be it for tonight. We've completed the stream. So thank you all for coming and hanging out with us. Later on, I'll be doing the garden live for the late night crew, and we'll be on tomorrow evening as well. And comedy says UAP. I'm well. Hope you are too. Yeah, that is awesome. So thank you everybody. We'll see some of y'all later on the garden live, and peace.